Hey, you know, you got this panel of general officers up here, and general officers typically are a bunch of Class A type personalities. And after listening to my two predecessors, and, Jeff Jacobs saying how he's got the smallest KCOM, and John McNeil bragging about how he's got the largest KCOM, and at the risk of being politically incorrect, my philosophy is that it's not the size, but whether your partner's satisfied. And I can tell you, my partner is CENTCOM, and they're satisfied.
Only because we're providing the support.
That's right. I would like, as I think about the kind of lives we've been living here the last several years, as we've been fighting the GWAT, it reminds me of an old story about a young, successful guy that's done well in the .com business, and he's driving a Porsche, and he pulls up to the gas station, and he's filling up his Porsche. This little old farmer drives up with a straw hat, and he's riding this rust bucket of some kind of motorcycle thing, and the guy in his Porsche is standing there, and he's got his suspenders and his tie, and he looks at this old farmer, and he goes, "What the heck is that thing?" And the old farmer proudly says, "Well, this is a 1940 Indian motorcycle. I've been driving it for the past 60-odd years, and I'm quite proud of the fact that it's still running, and it gets me to town when I need to get there. In fact, I get 40 miles per gallon in this thing." "How many miles per gallon do you get in that souped-up thing you got there?" And this guy just kind of looks at it, and he just shakes his head, gets in his car, slams the door, and drives off. Well, he's moving down the road, and kind of suddenly looks in his rearview mirror, and he sees this farmer there on that old Indian motorcycle catching up to him. He says, "Well, I can't believe that." So he stomps on it, turbos kick in, he's moving. And the farmer's still there, and he's even closer. He says, "I just don't get this." He says, how can this be?" And so he just keeps going faster, and sure enough, next thing you know, the farmer's on his bumper, and he's flashing his lights at him. And he says, "All right." So he pulls over. He says, "I got to find out how he's doing this." He pulls over. The farmer just whizzes past him. He kind of gets out, and he just can't believe it. But then he sees the farmer turning around. The farmer's coming back. And he's coming back as fast as he left him. And he's like, "Whoa, he had to get out of the way." And there goes the farmer back, and does this about 4 times. And finally the farmer slams on his brakes, and he's dragging his feet, and pulls up next to him. And the guy in the Porsche says, "I've never seen anything like that. How do you get that thing to go so fast?" And the farmer looks at him and says, "Well, let me unhitch my suspenders from your door handle, and I'll let you know." And I tell you what, we felt like we've been jerked around like that a lot these last few years as we try to meet all the different missions we've got and try to figure out how to do more with less. But let me tell you a little bit about the CENTCOM AOR. But first, I do want to let you know that in the spirit of General Morris's invitation to everybody, and you're not going to hear me if I do that, the 352nd is having our change of command on Sunday up at Fort Meade. And for those of you that haven't gotten invitations or haven't seen the invitations, we've been trying to get them out to everybody. But you're more than welcome to come watch our change of command. And it's at 10 o'clock at Fort Meade, 10 o'clock in the morning at McLaughlin Parade Field, the old polo ground that Eisenhower used to play polo on there. But you're welcome to come up and watch the ceremony. And it's after 49 months of command, it's going to be tough to give up that flag, but even more critical for me or difficult for me is after 19 years of civil affairs, it's going to be difficult to take off the KPOC patch and leave the community. But as I've told General Morris, I'm not really leaving the community, and I'm going to be in his terms, his cutout in the Pentagon working at the G3, and we'll make sure that civil affairs issues get worked real hard there. So I do want to provide that open invitation to everybody. All right. Now for what now that John's used all of our time, let me try to get through these pretty quick. This is 352nd's mission. Not unlike all the KCOM's mission, our focus is on the CENTCOM AOR, but as you have heard, and we'll hear from Guy, most of our focus has been on the CENTCOM AOR. And particularly that second part, we're all got our folks ready to deploy anywhere in the world as required. This is the 352nd structure. We've got 2 brigades, 8 battalions. You can see how we're laid out there. This is where we're located. And, one thing to note there, the 414th up there is just recently relocated and stood up in the Detroit, Michigan area. And the remaining folks that stayed back have kind of been absorbed by the remaining battalions there in New York. One of the things that we're proud of in the 352nd is we've got airborne capability, and then we've got the only civil affairs brigade that's an airborne brigade in the reserve component. We've got 2 airborne battalions. You can see the kind of montage here of the support that we've been given to OIF and OEF, and as you're well aware, we've been in the fight from day one. Shortly after 9/11, we sent planning teams down to SOCCENT and CENTCOM there in September of 2001. I was one of those groups that went down there, and we've been supporting CENTCOM ever since. We had the 360th support Operation Iraqi Freedom, or Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, and the command, as well as the 354 Civil Affairs Brigade, was on the invasion force that went into Iraq at the beginning. So we continue to be there. This is what we've been doing for 2007 here. You can see we've got folks supporting OIF in Iraq and Kuwait. 362 folks. We kind of, KPOC as a whole, and we took the brunt of the work on trying to provide 5 additional CA companies to support the surge operations that you've all heard so much about. We also have a Civil Affairs Liaison team in Jordan of 2 folks, and that's kind of been one of those enduring missions that started out as a humanitarian mission before we even invaded Iraq, to set that up. And it's down to 2 packs that are our folks now, although the team's still, and we've got a Marine tag person there, and we've got some logistics folks there, and they help, as you all know. Jordan has taken a huge load of the Iraqi refugee population, so they're helping with that process, as well as the bulk of our overland support that goes to our forces in Iraq. Logistics support goes through Jordan, and they support that effort to get that stuff through. We also have folks in Horn of Africa, 67 packs, and I'll talk a little bit more about Horn of Africa here later. And then we've got some folks in CONUS, both at CENTCOM, RCENT, DC, and down at Bragg, providing ongoing support and liaison. So a total of 445 deployed, as you can see there. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Horn of Africa, because I think you all know how really difficult OIF and OEF have been for all of us in the op-tempo. But the kind of work that we're doing in the Horn of Africa, quite frankly, is the kind of work that I see as the real future for us. It's the kind of work that if we do this well, and when I say we, it's not just civil affairs, but the Army and the nation, that will prevent the kind of things that we have in Iraq and Afghanistan, because we'll establish the right kind of conditions so that the Al-Qaedas of the world cannot get a foothold. And you can see what's kind of developed here. We did an MTT back in 2006 with soldiers from Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Kenya was so excited about that they requested us to train up. They want to put together a CA company, and they have formed that and have asked us to help train those folks. Uganda is following suit. We also have